here in Southern California. It is a hot as fuck day, bro. It's hot as hell. But sunny, but hot. Perfect day to be, well, not right now, at least, to be enjoying it. It's too hot right now. Unless you're going to be in the shade. Not even in the shade. It's probably still hot as fuck. But let me just set this up real quick. But we decided to hop on. See what the talk of town is going down. The word of the curve, you heard me. Now, on my other channel, for those who are curious, I did drop a battle rap reaction. You know, 8-man battle royal, right? There's several individuals on each track. I think it's 4-on-4, if I'm not mistaken. Could be more. Right? But it's a good one for those, you know, who are looking to hear some, you know, new sound. You guys can go scope that out. And I should be having another battle rap reaction coming as well, right? Because I had two that were in the process. One for the Raza and then one for the brothers, right? So that one is still in the process, but it should, you know, upload at least by today. I don't know why that one's taking longer than the other one. It's warm. You think it's warm? Nah, it feels hot as fuck, bro. My fucking thermometer right here says that. Well, I don't know. It's inside the van, but it says that it's like 105 up in this bitch. Oh, whoopsie. Okay, just moving all the shit out of the way. Okay. Yeah, so we do have those. And the tracks were dope too. You know, it's a new sound, but it's banging. Definitely got down. And, you know, showing the young bucks, you know, some love. Up and coming artists. Who said the young can't rap? Bro, them fools got talent. Talent. You know. I think a lot of people just don't want to give the youngsters their flowers nowadays. For some strange reason. There's disconnection, no, between the young and the old. What's cracking like it, Mr. Pasas de Felipe in the casa for the raza? ¿Qué dice la buena vida, carnal? ¿Qué es el día? ¿Al tiro? ¿Como gallo giro? Ya tú sabes, carnal, aquí nomás como esclavo. No queda otra. Bean cheese. Bean and cheese. Yeah, that's all we got. That's all we got. Sometimes you didn't even have that. Sometimes you just had the tortilla and the salt. Tortilla y aguacate. Chingue su madre. Hey, who says the broke man's tacos don't smack? Dame unos frijoles, un pinche pedazo de queso fresco, aguacate, salsita, pico de gallo. What's cracking like an angel? What's good, my boy? How's your day going? Gangbang makes fools not show love. That's mas chingon mentality. Yeah, I know. You know, nobody likes that type of mental. But it is what it is, though. You know, I think what it is the lack of understanding, right? Is what, you know, creates the division between the mentals. How tall are your socks, fool? All the way to my thighs, my boy. You already know. We got the knee highs. Have you ever you couldn't give feria to your homies because of their? Have you ever gonna give feria to your homies? What do you mean? What's cracking like in Dashpool? What's good, my boy? I couldn't give one of my homies from money because I'm struggling, but told him I couldn't give him something to eat. Oh, okay, you mean like that, like as in hook him up? No, yeah, está cabrón sometimes, you know, like we all in the struggle, you know, together, you know what I mean? Yeah, but like if the homie's really struggling and I don't have anything, you know, provide, you know, I shoot him down some clothes or something like that, you know what I mean? I look out for the homie. If the homie's, bad like that, then yeah, I hook him up with whatever I got. It may not be much, but it's something. That's one of the things that always, trip me out, right? Like, as much as individuals don't got shit right, they'll still share the little that they have with you, and is that camaraderie, That's real camaraderie. There's individuals that have fatty, bro, and they won't even share a fucking napkin with you. Real talk, bro. Had a long day yesterday. Went on a 2-hour drive to Atlanta to shop clothes for my. Oh yeah, that's right, that's right. You had said that last time, Simon. That's right, my boy. Enjoying life. That's what it's all about. My uncle called me because I told him to get a job. That doesn't make any sense. Why would he call you? I don't know where this kind of stuff happens, bro. Like I have never seen any kind of shit like that, bro. Like if you tell your homie to get a job that he's gonna call you, he's gonna get mad at you. That's weird. Then that individual's clearly not a homie. Then you know what I mean? Like, fuck. I've told my homies get a jale. We just laugh. You know what I mean? Nothing to get butthurt about. I mean, if you really care about the homie, you're looking after the homie, you're also gonna, tell him what it is también. You know what I mean? Like, hey, ¿sabes qué, carnal? Hey, man, you fucking up, my boy. Get it together, my boy. Get it together. They also gotta hear that as well. Tampoco no nomás puros pinches, rainbows and sunshines. Yo, what up, yeah? Shit, what's cracking like? On my way back, it was raining so hard. It's still raining over there? Damn, my boy. Y'all even forgot what the sun looks like, no? All right, today's sunny. Orale, that's right. I know, especially over here también. It's hot as fuck. Would you watch a tree grow? Would you watch a... Damn, my boy almost had me. Good yesterday, did some work yesterday running 4 flights of stairs. Oh, that's right. Getting some cardio in. That's good, homie. That makes no sense for real. Have you ever had it? Food either? No, I don't think I have tried like African food. I tried like food like that. It's American, by the brothers, but not like, because I know there's a big ass difference, right? Culturally, there's a big difference. There's a big difference. Like, well, I guess we could say the same thing too, also for like Mexican Americans and Mexican from the motherland, right? And in tradition and dishes, shit, even in lingo. But then again, we can say that for any ethnicity that's already been generations here in America, right? Compared to their actual motherland. And if you notice, there's a dysfunction or a disconnection between the two groups, right? I forgot which NBA player was the one that was talking about it, right? But he went to go, visit Africa, whatever. He said that the people from Africa, that they didn't like him, even though he's black, they didn't like him. They didn't like blacks from America. Isn't that a trip? I was just like, what the hell? He said that they were giving him a hard time because he's from America. So they said that they're not the same, which is a trip, huh? And like I said, also my homie that's Filipino, he would experience the same thing with when he would go to the Philippines, right? They would treat him gacho because he was from America. So it's a trip, though, because I hear that also when I would go to Mexico, I would hear the same shit too. It's like, I don't know, it's like this hatred or like jealousy. I don't know what the fuck it is, right? But it's like they feel like you're not to their equal for some strange reason. So racism does exist even within our very own. By our very own. Other trucks at the interstate were on us first. ¿Serio? You didn't have like a sign on your thing that said like honk if you're horny or some shit like that? Puro pedo. Exactly, you can. Hand them shit. Gotta let them get a holler back. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You know, especially if a homie, let's say, tries to make that shit, how can I say, a pattern, right? Like, you know, where they get comfortable and feeling like, you know, anytime they go to you, that they're already expecting something. You feel me? Because then you gotta back to life, back to reality. You gotta burst their bubble, homie. You can't let yourself get taken advantage of tampoco. You know, like, hey, bro, I try to help you, you know, as a homie. But if you're trying to take advantage and play me for a fool, then there's going to be some issues. And the only reason there's going to be issues is because we care. If we didn't care, we wouldn't even give a fuck. Soul food? Have you ever driven on a freeway when it was raining so hard it was blocking your view? Yeah, I have actually. Now, with that kind of shit, it's better just to pull over to the side, homie, and let the rain, you know, kind of chill out. You know, you don't want to end up fucking, you know, driving off of a fucking interstate. Because the weather should be no joke. Especially like if you see those videos with the black ice, you know, the icy roads and shit, and the cars try to stop and they just fucking keep sliding. Damn. That's just grave, you know, because some of those crashes are gacho. And just having to deal with the fact of your fucking car not being tore up, you know? You know, because a lot of cars be getting fucked up when that shit happens. It's like, fucking, eh. It's like having a fucking car on that side of the states must be horrible. I've already diarrhea just now. In serio? Indian food, spicy curry. Some Americans don't fuck with black Americans either. It's crazy. Just like the Chicanos versus. That's what I'm saying though. Like this is not just something that, you know, the raza, you know, has, you know, to deal with, right? But other ethnicities as well, right? It's a joke. You could say the same for India. Oh shit! Serio? Interesting. What a trip. American Chinese food. What is Chinese food? Oh yeah, it's not the same thing. Definitely not the same. Neither is Italian. Like what people consider American Italian, right? In Italy, they don't even know what the fuck that shit is, right? And like, well, you don't know what? Isn't it Italian? Like, it's American. No, I think I prefer American, you know, food over the stuff then. Or the escargot. What is escargot? The fucking snails. I was seeing a video where somebody was fucking eating those shits, and yeah, they were like, yeah, that shit's disgusting. I don't understand how people could eat that. And people can't even say that it's just the French, no, because in Mexico they eat some crazy shit too, right? Like the tacos de grillos, the cricket tacos, you know, where they deep fry the crickets. So it's not just in, you know, France that they eat weird shit. There's people mentioning all kinds of shit, kind of weird shit all over the world. Like the water boy when they be eating with the snake, the anaconda. Well, snakes don't really have parts, but if I was to call it something, I would call it the knee. And that was grilling fucking little alligators. Are they alligators? Yeah, no, they're not crocodiles. They're too narrow, too thin. Motherfuckers chewing on them shit. Like, damn, brother, hungry. They don't at all. For half breeds. Yeah. Is that what it is? Hardworking individual right there, sir. Hey, got to my boy, the bills don't pay themselves. You know, it's not like, you know, we can tell the bills to, you know, hey, can I get a little quebrada? They'll be like, fuck you. Got no choice. You good, big gunna? Shit. You still claim effort? Of course, my boy. That ain't never gonna change. It's who I am. What are your thoughts on Percy saying Crips came from the South? From the South? What do you mean the South? Like the southern states? Or like what do you mean? I'm eating Panda right now. Oh, Panda's good. I can fuck with Panda. That doesn't give up. Views are low, so here we go again. Prison war stories again. How he... ¿Serio? I don't know. It is what it is. Crips did come from the South. Like, what do people mean by the South? Like the South of southern states, or they mean the South of California, or do they mean like the Southerners themselves? Oh, the dirty South, like was it like St. Louis and all those places? Oh, Louisiana, Mississippi. Did they? Well, I don't know, bro. You know, I'm not gonna come and be like, nah, they're from LA, and you know what I mean? Because I'm not a Crip. You get me? So I'm not gonna come and tampoco and act like if I know the fucking their program. You know, I may know some stuff, you know, about Crips and shit like that, right? But you know, learning about something is different than actually being a part of that movement. You get me? And I'm not gonna be so ignorant and come out here and say that's not true or whatever because I'm not a Crip. You know what I mean? So it's not in my place to say, you know, where they actually come from. You know, if I was a Crip, then, you know, I would speak on it, but, you know, it's got nothing to do with me. So tampoco I'm not gonna come in, you know, so foolishly, you know, try to act like, you know, even though I may know, right? At the same time, like I said, it's outside of my domain. You know, and that goes for like any other group outside of the South. You know, that's why when individuals used to ask me questions about the North, that's the reason why I never dived into it, right? Because I'm not a Northerner, right? So that's not, I have no place into, you know, touching on their, you know, what they have going on in their, you know, their stuff. Because like I said, that's just foolish, you know. I know there's certain other individuals that don't care and they do it, right? But, you know, we were brought up a little bit different, right? So we know what it is. So it's just like, you know, you have to understand, you know, what's yours is yours. Because, you know, and anybody that's, if individuals are in the mix, you know what I'm talking about, right? Like, you don't speak on stuff that's outside of yours. You feel me? Like, you don't stick your nose into other people's, you know, business, right? Like, when people were like, oh, well, why can't, like, these individuals are no good. Why can't the Southerners just ask for their paperwork? And it's like, imagine a Southerner going up to the Northerners and asking for paperwork, my boy. How fucking stupid is that? Like, what are you doing getting involved in their politics? Like, what are you doing sticking your nose in their business? Like, what are you doing cleaning up their mess? Same thing when I said about the Tekashi, when people were chasing Tekashi, and it's like, oh, it's because he's a snitch. Yeah, he snitched on his own neighborhood, the Bloods, you know? Like, why are you looking for him for something that has to do with blood business? Are you a Blood? Like, like, what the fuck? Like, or do you have, like, some agreement with the Bloods? Like, why are you cleaning up their mistakes, their backyard? You let them worry about that shit. That has nothing to do with you and your neighborhood. You just snitch on none of your homies, you know? You do you, worry about chores, and let them do theirs. You know, because when you try to now stick your nose in other people's business, whatever, like, you look so fucking goofy. Like, that's not gangster at all. Like, oh, it's because he's a snitch. Like, yeah, but it's not, has nothing to do with your politics, bro. You know? Now, don't get me wrong. That doesn't mean, like, you know, invite that fool over for a fucking cookout and shit like that, right? But I'm saying, like, to go and actually look for this individual to handle him for something that has absolutely nothing to do with your side, it's fucking stupid, bro. And you only look like a fucking, like a clown, bro. You know, because clearly it's done for attention because there's no other reason for it, right? Then now you're gonna bring unwanted heat over some shit. It's like, bro, why now we're getting heat because you stick your nose into their business, right? And it's like, for what? So now you're in the hot seat. So now you're gonna have to answer those questions. Nobody's bigger than the program, my boy. Like, get it together, homie. What's good, ta cabron? Crips, Dirty South. Oh, damn, bro, blocked me. Who blocked him, carnal? Or what do you mean? You got blocked? From where? Give it a shadow. You on your break? Simon Carnal, we on the long shit. Just like after Sureños came from. Like, no, but see, I don't know if that's a joke or not, right? But it's like with upstate homies, originally influenced from down here, from individuals that were from down here that moved to upstate, you know? Now, as people now started migrating to up north, right? Then I believe then, you know, that's where that transpires after that, right? But the influence originally came from down here, though, right? You know, because as much as, you know, the media likes to stir it and paint it, right, especially Donald Trump, all these gangs are created here in America. They don't come from Mexico or Salvador or whatever. They're created here. They're American issues. And then, you know, they spread out to their countries, right? So MS started here, and then, you know, the infos got deported and they spread over there. But they're from over here, right? But I know that the mainstream media likes to spin the narrative saying that the Mexicans come over here and bring their gangs, and that's not the way it works. The gangs were created because you guys abused these individuals. You guys segregated them and mistreated them for years, you know, and with these individuals not even able to get any type of assistance. They weren't even able to call law enforcement because law enforcement was a part of the corruption and the brutality and you know, lynching and jumping and the, you know, hog tying and dragging and all of that. You know, these were times where, you know, a lot of the law enforcement, a lot of police officers were members of the, you know, Ku Klux Klan. You know, for those who are not aware of their history, right? And not only that, but, you know, the ignorance of some individuals who lack of history, right? Like when they say, like, well, there's so much raza, like, why didn't the raza just, you know, like, you know, defend themselves and say, fuck these people? And it's like, well, you have to understand that the times were different. You may see a lot of raza in these areas now, but back then, they were the minority, bro. There was a lot of white people here before. A gang of white people in California, bro. A lot. You know, so they were definitely outnumbered. You know, even if you did grab all the minorities, they still were a small percentage of the population of the state, you know? So they had, you know, they couldn't call the cops because, like I said, cops were in on it as well, right? So these individuals decided to patrol and protect their own neighborhoods, you know, protect their own people by creating these groups. Now, don't get it twisted. What the gangs were started as and what they are now is two completely different things. Even though they may have started because of this and a good cause, right? It then mutated and changed into what we have now, right? The bulliers became the bullies, right? So it's not the same thing. You know, when people be like, oh, man, they're just looking out for their own. Yeah, maybe when they started, but that's not what they are now, though. Don't try to spin that narrative either. You know, if you're going to keep it 100, keep it 100. They started for a good reason, but they became something completely different, you know? But that's what, you know, anything in life, right? When you give now the person that has been abused now the power, right? Sometimes these individuals, the power tends to go to their heads, right? And, you know, now they want to unleash some of that wrath, get some of that payback, you know? Human behavior. Hello, brother. How are you? Good. How about yourself? You ever heard of a case where some guy from Pico got caught up because he had a crime scene tattooed on his chest? Yeah, actually, yeah. Yeah. Believe it or not, there's a lot of individuals that don't really think stuff all that through, right? And see, the thing with police officers, the thing with crime cases, right? Why you tend to burn yourself when you talk or you put out stuff, right? Especially individuals that, let's say, well, it's stuff that's already out there. See, there's detectives, right, that they don't release everything to the public, right? So not everything gets told about what actually happened, right? There's some stuff that they keep hidden, right? And the reason they keep hidden is that in case this individual ever makes a statement saying, talking about something that they didn't release, now they're going to be like, well, the only way you possibly knew that information was if you were there, yourself, because we never told anybody that information, right? Now you explaining that, or your lawyer explaining that, is going to be very difficult, right? Very difficult. Like, you can't say that you heard that, or it's, like, nah, well, I heard somebody told, no, because they never released that part, right? So he had something in his tattoo that was never made public, right? That the only way that that was possible is if that individual there was there himself, right? So that's where it becomes an issue. That's why it's, like I said, it's stupid. I'm not Italian. Chinese food is really American Chinese food. The avenues those house fools were from Jew Street. Have you ever tried Salvadorian? Yeah, like pupusas. Pupusas are bomb, bro. Nah, they have other stuff too. They have, like, their the plátano macho some shit, right? Not the one with crema. The crema one, right? But there's a different. It's like a dish that they do with that, right? Does Salvadorians have any other dish? Yeah, they do have a lot of different food, but a lot of their food is also similar to Mexicans' food. Like I said, there's not that much difference in our fucking cultures. That goes for anybody in South America, right? Like, they have, like, similar food as Mexicans do. Yes, he said he got their gripping from Texas. Like I said, probably, Texas has actually played a lot of influence in a lot of the culture that's even spread in Los Angeles, in California, right? Like the Pachuco style and all of that as well, right? It's not just stuff that originated out of like California, right? Especially when we're talking about Pachucos, because that style actually came from Chicago. It actually came from brothers, blacks, right? The jazz bands, you know, that were popular within the segregated areas, right? That they would play in these little, hangout spots where the youngsters would go and hang out and see these individuals and, dig their music, and they influence their overall stilo, you know. And that's not me taking away nothing from the raza. That's the fucking history. What do you do if you ran into Neil? What I do? What do you mean? I'm not gonna come on the internet and talk about, nothing about, any type of, activity like that. That's just not what I'm. That's just not what I do on the internet. You know, if you're looking for any kind of answer, like that. Kruger probably did have some influence from Southern culture, as most blacks. Yeah, like, I just can't come and like, stamp stuff and be like, you know what I mean? Because, like I said, I'm not a Crip, so that's just stuff that I'm not gonna be ignorant and come and try to like, portray that, the OG cholos were Americanized. Well, it was a mix. You could say it's a mixture of both. Um, because in the beginning you had more like paisa homies, right? Los Angeles cholos love Dirty South rap. Oh yeah, like Master P, No Limit, Cash Money. But it's not even just so much, Dirty South rap, but just rap in general. There are some neighborhoods that actually do have um, men's with each other and handle uh, each other's business and clean their yard. No, like their own. Like, let's say like neighborhood, like let's say, like within each neighborhood, right? Now I know about like other stuff, right? But we're not gonna get into those kind of the discussions, right? When it comes to like other, how can I say, other elements being involved and other orders being sent and stuff like that, right? But we're that's something completely different, and we're just not gonna dive into none of that, right? That's outside of what should be said on the internet. Have you ever had people in North Hollywood be dissing in the live stream on your channel? Now, in the beginning, there was, right, but not that much of it. Like I said, bro, if you're a real one, right, that's just not something you're gonna do, though. Not gonna do that. You get the only individuals that talk and this and everything like that are just claimers. People that just are aware of your area and know that how enemies diss you, and then they do the pretend game, right? They're not really from those gangs, but they're gonna pretend just to try to get you mad online, right? So you have the claimers, pretenders, right? Trolls, I guess you could say, right? And then the fools that are just lame, that don't put in no work for their neighborhoods, right? And they just like to talk shit because they're scary, and they just come online, right? But at least if they're like a true and a true ops, right? Like a real op, like somebody that actually puts in work and stuff like that, they're just not gonna come and diss you on the internet, bro. That's just stuff that real homies just don't do. You'll look really goofy, doing that kind of shit, right? Because the older homies just gonna be like, hey, bro, if you're really on that kind of time and that kind of energy, then let's go look for them and let's handle that shit in person. Like, why are you fucking over here, doing it online? Because now if you do something, now you're gonna burn yourself with that kind of shit. Like, you either do it or you don't, bro. You know what I mean? Nobody wants to hear you, just constantly dissing the enemies. Like, we're either gonna go and do it or just shut the fuck up already. Because like I said, you're just not impressing nobody like that. Because they just see you as, when you do that, they just see you as all talk. Like, all you ever do is, bark, but we never see you actually do shit. Because the ones that actually really do shit don't talk about it, bro. They don't speak about it. Because there's nothing to speak about. Gangsters should stay in their own countries. Well, see, that's the thing. If that was to actually be the case, then they would all stay in America, though. Because all these gang members are American. They're born here. They're all Americans. And not only that, but there's a lot of white gangs too. People can't forget about that. I have a video where I break down all of that, right? And there's certain white gangs, bro. They have thousands and thousands of members, bro. Thousands, homie. Like, you just see a never end, because they have big ass get-togethers. You just see fucking thousands of those motherfuckers, bro. You know what I mean? Like, those fools are not to be taken lightly either, bro. They got shit really be cracking, So you would still have gang issues, because like I said, whites, there's a lot of white gangs, bro. A lot of white gangs. They just don't advertise themselves like how Hispanic and black gangs do. But nonetheless, they still claim territory and they still do illegal activities, though. I think the reason some LA gangsters were looking for 6ix9ine is because it was just NFC. Yeah, but see, that has nothing to do with their politics, though. Like, I like Eazy-E's music and shit like that, but if somebody's dissing Eazy-E, I'm not gonna go and fucking look for that individual. Got nothing to do with me, bro. What if people say Sureños came from Chicago, New York, or some shit like that? Then they're just idiots. They don't know what they're talking about, right? But at the same time, I'm not gonna come and argue with them. People can believe whatever they want, It's why would I come and try to convince the audience, like that, Like, well, no, they're from down here. Like, oh no, they're not. I heard it. Well, you know what, bro? I'm not gonna sit here and argue with you. You can believe what you want. It's irrelevant to me, and it's irrelevant to what And the reason why I just don't, do the back and forth is just that I know what it actually is, and so them thinking whatever they think is not gonna actually change what it actually really is, right? So So it would be pointless to just sit here and argue, right? It's not like him thinking that's gonna now change what it actually is, right? So I'm telling you, bro, there's sometimes on the internet I get individuals trying to school me about my own neighborhood, bro. Like, no, bro, it started like this and it's like this, and like, you gonna tell me about my own neighborhood, my boy. Like I said, like there's people out there that just because they hear something, they like, you know what? My bad that if you have always thought that it was like this, right, when it wasn't, it'll burst your bubble. It is what it is, bro. It's okay being wrong. You know, not everyone's gonna be right about everything. But now there's people out there that just don't like being proven wrong, and they just stick to whatever they stick to. You believe what you want. I see rather than me. So there's no Mexican in Mexico. See, but cartels is different than we're talking about gangs and cartels is two different things. See, and now the Yakuza, see, that's all different. No, you talk cartels, mobs, mafias, and gangs is different things. You know, different rules, different structure, different in everything. Yes, all associated as gangsters because the term that law enforcement gave individuals that were organizations that committed crime, 3 or more members that committed crime, you know, were considered a gang, right? But as in breaking down the organization and structures, mafia is not the same thing as a street gang, or a crew is not the same thing as a mafia, or a mafia the same thing as a gang. You get what I mean? They're all different, even though, like I say, they may be similar in some stuff. They just move different. They carry themselves different, and different rules, and like I said, different way they handle their business and themselves. But like I said, at the end of the day, it's all stupid. It's better to stay in school, get your money right, get your education, because truly you're going to get nothing out of the streets or the crime life. And that's just 100% facts. And I can promise you that. Get what I'm saying? So don't be fooled by the bullshit. All right, ladies and gentlemen, my lunch break is over. We got to get back to it. It was good chopping it up with you guys, and we out.